Part 79. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 783. Sturdy Fake Dan. Boom. The scroll finally couldn't resist the onslaught of 8 of the monks. It collapsed completely, turned into a dim light star, dissipated in the air, and no longer existed. The 8 monks appeared immediately. At the same time that the painting technique was defeated, Huang Shishi was bitten back by the spiritual force, and a burst of blood poured into her, but she was crushed by it. But the water still seeped through the corner of her mouth. That Xie and others were trapped for a while, and their hearts were angry. After coming out, Xie shouted, "Huang Shishi! Your death is here." But after her imposing sound, a discordant voice sounded around her. "Not here. Arrived. You're dead. Xie is going to faint. Damn, who is this? Listening to the voice should be someone on my side, but how can I say everything off the chain?" You, Xie turned around, and suddenly found that there was one more person on his side. There were 8, but now there are 9. One more young monk. Everyone noticed this problem and hurried back, knowing that the boy was never his own. But Yekong appeared beside them. The purpose was to sneak attack. How can he return without success? Shenbi's golden sword. Immediately, a silver light spit out of Yekong's mouth, and directed at the phantom monk Xie Zhenjun in front of her eyes, but Xie had no defense at all, and it seemed that a sword would fall. "Shozier dare," a voice sounded. Xie protects the girl's heart, and he happens to support the spiritual shield. The spiritual shield of the Yuan infant period is not the shield of a low-level monk. Thanks to the strength of the shield, it is comparable to the best defense tools. It should be very easy to block the attack of the real people. Therefore, Xie was busy with the teleportation in front of her sister. Thankfully, he soon found himself wrong. This sword is a wicked door. The wicked door to the spiritual shield opens the door of convenience. I saw a flash of fine light spots on the surface of the silver flying sword. He dug into it and cut directly into his head, and then penetrated into his body to stir the Yuan. All the robbers were stunned. Wouldn't it be so easy even if a monk was killed to kill Yuan Zhenjun? Zhou Xinghua shouted outside the field, "This is a wicked gate, exit the field." "Brother," Xie sighed sadly, but was also pulled out of the battle. "But Yekong has long been determined to kill these people. How can they let them escape?" I saw Yekong pointing to the outside again. "Kill." Shenbi's golden sword emerged from Xie's body and turned into a bright silver light, chasing Xie away. I thought that array could block Fijian, but the evil gate at the end of the Fijian crossed the array and killed Xie. Xie was a woman, suddenly panicked, threw out her flying instruments, and fled away. But Yingyang didn't budge, biting her and letting her go. "Quickly use teleport," someone reminded. Xie then remembered the teleportation, the figure disappeared, and Shenbi's golden sword hit an empty space. Xie was already a few miles away. "Boy, who are you?" Xie's voice came from a distance. "Repairing Yekong," Yekong said proudly. "Xie is suffering today and will be doubled back in the future." Xie fled after speaking, although she was not injured, but she was frightened and left is useless. Ye is never afraid of revenge. "As long as you dare to come, I will give you a happy life." Yekong said these things as a matter of course, but he was just a fake Dan real person, and you said this to a Yuanying who was too arrogant. Those robbers were a little surprised by someone's sturdiness, but when they looked at that person, they laughed. "Where's the boy? A fake Dan dare to speak up? Are you looking for death?" Zhou Xinghua said a few words, but was pulled by Tu Chuzhen, who claimed to be a casual repairer. "Zhou Zhenjun, the so-called Nirvana must have Nirvana." As soon as this shot was taken, the brothers and sisters of the Xie family were killed and fled, but there was a magic weapon in the foundation period. It is definitely not an ordinary person. We must not undermine the enemy. Tu Chujen said. The robbers nodded and said yes. Anyway, he was really tough, and accidentally died in his hands. It was a capsized ship in the gutter. Tu Chujen stepped out of the crowd at this time and said, Yedayu, I have no resentment against you. Why did you attack me as soon as you shot? The so-called enemies should be solved. I went to your mother's enemies. I beat my wife to spit blood. This feud is settled. No solution, Yekong scolded. Wife, everyone was shocked, and said, who is your wife here? Huang Shishi answered them with action. Fujun, the woman you were just kicked out of, you still have to force me to marry her brother. Huang Shishi, holding Yekong's arm, sued resentfully. NND, against her. Where is her brother? A hooligan was furious. This. Huang Shishi refers to the corpse on the ground. Dead, just dead. With Yekong's words, the robbers relaxed for a while, but Huang Shishi's another sentence made them nervous. The two fat men from the real water demon, want to marry me. Being touched by Huang Shishi, Wang 11 and Wang Zhe were so nervous that they almost said, no. But think about it, shit, why should we be afraid of him? Our brothers are Yuanying Zhenjun. Why are you afraid of this real person? What ahem. Wang 11 walked out of the crowd pointing to Yekongdeo, your kid just builds the base period, he doesn't help the chicken X. What big name do you put on? My Wang 11 is after your wife, you how can it be? Or shall we fight? Do you dare you? Yekong immediately replied, I'm afraid you are afraid. In fact, Yekong is going to be one-on-one. If those UN infants go together, in the blink of an eye, he will become dregs. If he is facing other people, his chance of winning is not great, but the key opponent is the disciple of Zhenshui Mozong. The purple jade fierce water sword is very strange, although it is the flying sword of the water system, but it is the most suppressed by it, and it is also a method and treasure of water property. Of course, with Yekong singled out, Wang 11 also had an idea. After all, Huang Shishi, a Yuan Ying, is still standing satisfactorily. If he is singled out, Huang Shishi will not be able to help, and if a Yuan Ying Zhenjun kills a real person who builds a base, why worry? Yekong and Wang 11 both have ideas, and other robbers have their own plans. Yekong's appearance was too shocking just now. The two Yuan Ying Zhenjun died and fled, but they were sneak attacks, so the robbers were a bit insecure about Yekong, and Wang 11 appeared on the road to explore the road, which was extremely beneficial to them. Harmful, so they are also very supportive. Huang Shishi knew that someone had always done strange tricks, so she was not too worried. On the contrary, the most worried person is Shuelishuang and others. Shuelishuang came up and said softly, Yedayu, we also know that you are strong, but after all, he is already Yuan Ying Zhenjun. Yekong smiled lightly, took a few steps, looked at Wang 11 and said, then let's try it first, and let me see what your true water magic sect has. Good, Wang 11 strode into the formation. Yekong smiled coldly, boy, then I'll take you to try the sword. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 784. King of the 788 Battles. At night, the dense forest was dark. But in the depths of the dense forest swamp, there is a dry vacant lot. 3 arrays on the vacant lot are like 3 huge and bright yurts, and the scene is like a day. The white light illuminated the robbers' relaxed faces, while the Shadow Clan and the monks trapped in the 3 major formations were all nervous. In their view, Yekong took a building-based great repair as a single pick, a Yuanying Zhenjun. It's the same as an ant shaking a tree, a mantis arm as a car. Well, this Yedayu is really Tu Meng Lang Chenjian, the imperial devil, said. However, a shadow woman retorted, what is his choice here and now? A man has only shown his courage. Chen Jian said, courage? He is stupid. Just watch him fall. His words immediately caused the anger of others in the array, scaring Chen Jian from speaking. In the third formation, Ye Kong looked at the opposite Wang 11 very calmly. Although several Yuanying Zhenjun have been killed, they are all sneak attacks, or they use the opponent's underprivileged psychology to kill the other. However, this time, it was completely different. This battle with Yuanying Zhenjun faced the gongs and drums he had not encountered. The opposite Wang 11 was calm, and did not mean to underestimate the enemy. Even if he wanted to win with the purple jade fierce water sword, I am afraid it is not so simple. Wang 11 smiled slightly and came up with a water property spell. Water Dragon. I saw that Wang 11's fingers were constantly gathering water power, spiritual power, and the more these spiritual powers gathered, the sooner they materialized, forming a water dragon with a thin arm. Go. Wang 11's index finger was facing Ye Kong a little. The water dragon whistled and rushed out, shooting Ye Kong directly. Although the water dragon is not a high-level spell, but it is brought out by a Yuanying Zhenjun, its power and a little monk are absolutely incomparable. Although the water dragon is not big, it is amazing in momentum and amazing power. When it came over, Long Wei appeared. Ye Kong didn't escape, raising his hand to a white light. Boom! Sword burst. A flying fish sword blows the small water dragon to pieces. Water drops, sword filings, and the quartet exploded. A bit interesting. Wang 11 looked at Ye Kong and raised his hands. Water dragons condensed in his hands, and water dragons shot continuously. And Ye Kong was also polite, as if the Zongpan Fijian was worthless, thrown it out. The sound of bombardment on the ground was endless, the air waves flew, the water drops and the thin sword body formed a thin piece between the two fog. Great Zhou Xinghua, the leader of the robber, could not help but praise. Burning money is terrible, Sanqiu Tu Chujian said, breaking through the mystery. Everyone laughed, and they looked more greedy in Ye Kong's eyes. And Wang 11's brother Wang Zhe laughed even more. A real person who builds the base period, but also wants to challenge the true king of the Yuanying period. Is there really so many wonders in this world? The Shadow Clan people watching here are also mixed. A Shadow Clan man shook his head and sighed, this is not the way to go, the water aura is inexhaustible, and Yedayu's flying sword always has a limit. This person's words were immediately exchanged for one of Su Shuang's brains. What to say? It takes a lot of spiritual power to gather water and aura. It will inevitably be exhausted after a long time, and Fijian does not consume spiritual power. Can make each other exhausted. Everyone thinks about it too, but how many flying swords did Yedayu bring? Wang 11 had the same problem over there. He had also thought, what else would you see if you run out of flying swords? But he found more and more that the opponent's flying sword seemed to be endless, and it didn't hurt him at all. Damn, did he sell the sword? There was a different idea in Huang Shishi's heart. She has been with Ye Kong for some time, and every time I see that he has a new, different spell and magic weapon, I did not expect to see another one today, Sword Explosion, which is a rare spell by Yun Yao, so let Huang Shishi's beautiful eyes glow with doubt. How many different spells does this kid have? While Huang Shishi was thinking, Ye Kong in the field had a new action. After Ye Kong issued a sword burst, he suddenly rushed forward, treating the water dragons one after another as nothing, and bullying himself close to Wang 11. Wang 11 was a little surprised. He didn't expect this boy to be so bold that he didn't even open the spiritual shield, so he wanted to pass through the water dragon group. His eyes flashed sharply, and he roared, "Go to death!" The speed of condensing the water dragon in his hand accelerated again. Everyone looked at Ye Kong in surprise. You know, this water dragon was sent by Yuanying Zhenjun. It is powerful. A real person who builds a foundation does not open the spiritual shield. As long as he hits it, He is just dead and worry-free. The ghost is that the dense water dragon cannot hit Yekong. What kind of magic is this? Everyone was surprised. In fact, this is the rhythmic method that Yekong perceives from the shadow martial arts, but so many people of the Shadow clan cannot notice. After so many years of inheritance of Yingwu, a fixed system and exercises have been formed, unlike Yekong, which is purely a wild path that he has worked out. Actually, Yekong is very risky. If Wang 11 prepares early, or changes to other exercises, or uses Beiyuan infant skills, if so, Yekong is very passive and can even kill his life. But Yekong just wanted to bet. He bet Wang 11 must still despise himself, or use water dragon technique, kill himself with this intermediate level spell, then Wang 11 will feel very face-saving. That's right, Yekong is right. In the blink of an eye, he had broken through the blockade of dozens of water dragons, and he took a swift step. As if it can lead the world a step. Go to hell. Kim Kwang-soo. When the moonbud full of fierce domineering power swept away, Yekong clearly saw what Wang Zhihanjun saw, panic. Boom. Wang 11 chose teleport wisely, he avoided, and the golden light flashing moonbuds chopped on the inner wall of the trapped array, slamming the trapped array for a while. It's a pity that if he used defensive weapons to resist it, then he would surely die. Yekong secretly called a pity, but fortunately, he did not reveal the final killing tricks. After this beheading, everyone looked at Yekong differently than before. Some people were surprised that Yekong had come up with such a domineering ancient treasure, and some people marveled that he could force a Yuanying Zhenjun to flee, and some people shook their heads and sighed. The fake Dan real person did not succeed in the final blow. Brother, how do I think brother? Yes, break through the water dragon just now looks like our shadow martial arts, Xue Bingning couldn't help wondering. Is it Yingwu? Xue's Huang frowned and thought. It looks a bit like it, but, I haven't seen this Yingwu before. Aside Huang Shishi heard them talking, thinking to myself, you haven't seen much of this boy's means. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 785. King of West China. Wang 11's face is not good looking. He is a Yuanying Zhenjun, and was actually fleeing by a fake Dan Lively. Although it was not a shame to dodge defense in battle, Wang 11 still felt that such things could not be tolerated. I don't see how you can do anything. I look down on you. Wang 11 looked at Yekong again and said, it seems that this is your final killing move, but unfortunately, this killing move is nothing to me. Use, don't be excited, just now I just tested you. Now it seems that you have the strength to look at my baby skills. Yekong felt relieved when he heard this. Fat, it seems you still look down on me. I didn't use a lot of tricks. Just look down on me. But even if Wang 11 despised Yekong, his Yuanying skills were still very powerful. Wang 11 took out a small porcelain bottle, opened the stopper, and poured a small mass of clear water from the porcelain bottle. This water was suspended in front of Wang 11, as if very quiet and well behaved. Huang Shishi looked at it and shouted, be careful. That's true water. True water is the essence of water, extracted from thousands of pounds of ordinary water. Therefore, the water attribute energy is very powerful, and its water attribute characteristics are enlarged by hundreds of millions of times than ordinary water, especially the dilution and decomposition attributes of water are the most powerful. Even hard objects will be dissolved in it. Not to mention the human body. Wang 11 laughed and said, Mr. Huang, you are wrong, this is not true water. He said, looking cold, and humming, this is the seed of true water. With this seed, you can make countless ordinary waters become real waters. Everyone present was surprised, knowing that zhenshui is a very expensive refining material. Before Yekon used 1 yuan of heavy water to dissolve the purple jade, and use the Kangbei cold fire to slowly refine Wujin, Yekon used 2 swords for more than 3 months because some materials were too difficult to dissolve. But it's different if you have real water. Refiner time should be reduced by at least 2/3. In other words, Yekon can refine the sword in just 1 month. Of course, the price of real water is extremely high. 1 yuan of heavy water is very expensive, and real water is more than 10 times more expensive. The most important thing is that there is no market price, not even the black demon zone. And the real water seed that Wang 11 took out was very valuable, so everyone was very bright. Looking at the greedy eyes of everyone, Wang 11 smiled proudly and said, "This is the beginning of the refining of the real monarch. Until 800 years ago, this small bottle." He finished, and said with some pity, "Every time I used Yuan Yingji, this true water seed has to shrink by 1 circle." Everyone couldn't help but lament that the battle between monks was, in a big way, fighting for the spirit stone. Just looking at Yekong throwing more than 100 Zongfei Fijian, I feel extravagant. Compared with Wang 11, that is a little witch. Wang 11 sighed regretfully, then looked at Yekondeo, dead under his hands. "You are worth it?" Yekong laughed, "Is that right? Then I'll see if your real water is terrible or my fire is terrible. Then you wait to die." Real water regeneration. After Wang 11 finished speaking, Fayan flail in his hand, and saw countless phantoms hitting the seeds of true water in his hands, and the small ball of real water swelled violently. Then, facing Yekong swept away. The seeds of true water were truly extraordinary. They turned into a large piece of true water at once, swept away towards Yekong, and a space of water appeared in the center of the open space. Samadhi really fire. Yekong had expected that real fire would have a magical effect on real water, but he was wrong. When Ye also made mistakes, the water was already overpowering, let alone true water. A few of the magic spells of Samadhi and real fire were swallowed up in the blink of an eye and melted by real water. No matter it was Mars or the ashes of the spell, they were all dissolved in the water. Real water metabolizes, melts all living things. This is the power of true water. A wrong move, the situation immediately became critical. Yekong watched Zhenshui swept in, and could not avoid it. If he was thrown by the waves of this real water, he would be melted without any residue. Huang Shishi felt panicked at this moment. I did not expect that the short and fat Wang 11 was so powerful. Once the real water came out, he could only escape by teleportation. But Yekong wouldn't be teleporting at all, she shouted anxiously, "Water comes to cover." Yekong couldn't care less about the reaction. Toe a little, the figure stepped back a few steps, raised his hand, earth wall technique. A few meter high earth wall immediately erected in front of him, like an embankment, blocking the turbulent real water for a while, and was temporarily safe. Wang Zhe snorted while watching. Earth wall? Although the 5 elements are in harmony, but a low-level earth-type spell wants to block Yuanying's skill. It's funny. Zhou Xinghua was worried next. If it is wrapped in real water, the kid's magic weapon storage bag may not be left. Dare to love this guy. Wang Zhe said, "Of course. But even if things are left behind, I won't give them to you. This is my brother's trophy indeed." Earth wall technology can't stop the real water. Slowly dissolve in real water, and soon, the earth wall is dissolved with source. Boom, Zhenshui toppled the thin residual earth wall to the ground, and a large amount of Zhenshui whistled past. The earth wall left no powder at all dissolved in the real water. The situation is really very critical. The water is so huge that it is as hard to hide as coming into the river, but it is very powerful in the real water and it won't stick at all. All the trapped people squeezed a sweat, the girls of the Shadow clan nervously hugged together, and even Xue Bingning couldn't open his eyes nervously. And Chen Jian, who is not optimistic about Yekong, also clenched her fists, and said to herself, quick flash. Ye Kong stepped back a few steps again, he has no way back. His mind is also quick to calculate, how to deal with it. Did you hide into the pipa beads? No. Nothing less than the last minute. Use Zeolai sword? No way. That was his whole card. If it was taken out now, it would be sure to break the real water. But Wang 11 will be prepared for it. If he wants to be beheaded, he will certainly not be able to achieve his wish. What to do then? It's so urgent. Is there really no way? Of course not. At the moment when the loved ones were anxious to laugh, Ye Kong patted his head, I'm so confused, this real water is a bird, this is a good thing for free. The crowd saw someone raise their hands and took out a green gourd. When their mouths moved, they spit out a word, stop. In a blink of an eye, the fierce raging block of real water waves was collected by the fire and gourd. To the reader, half of the fight was gone, a little uncomfortable. But let us pass on chapter 4 first, and tomorrow we will only have 6 chapters. Let us pass on the decision. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 786. The King of War. My true water seed, Wang 11 screamed heartbreakingly, and the real water seed shrank a circle. He was distressed. Now that all the people had been taken away, he was going crazy. And those robbers are dumbfounded, another ancient treasure. It would be possible for a prince to take out Gu Bao constantly, but this boy just built the foundation and completed it one by one. When did Gu Bao become so worthless? That's great, the trapped shadow girls shouted in excitement. Huang Shishi looked at someone with a smile and scolded in her heart, knowing that you had a way to make people worry about it again. Wang 11 was taken away with the seeds of true water, and his heart was furious. This is something that he had refined for hundreds of years. Boy! Give me back the true water seeds. Wang 11's small eyes widened, his cheeks flushed with redness, and his layers of chin squinted. Ye Kong shook his water hyacinth and smiled, Lao Fei, what's your attitude? First you should know who wants something, and who is asking for it. Wang 11 suddenly softened and said in a tense manner, boy, let's do this, I promise you, you will return the real water to me, and I will let you and your people leave. How? There was something in Wang 11's heart that I would let you go, but others would not let you go, even if you let me swear. But could Ye Kong be fooled? Of course not. He is a man who specializes in others. How can he be blinded by such a simple trick? Lao Fei, I don't say much. If you knelt down now, made a vow of blood and blood, became my slave for life, and then killed your robbers off the field with your brother, maybe we will consider returning it to you. Wang 11 suddenly became furious, his eyes flashed with murder, and hummed coldly, boy, you do nt know that the sky is thick. Maybe you think this real water is my ultimate killer? Could you think that without real water, I can't kill you? Could it be? Do you think I dare not kill you to get back the real water, and your gourd? This guy not only wanted to get back the real water, but even Ye Kong's ancient treasure gourd was remembered. As soon as Wang 11 said this, everyone was nervous again. This Wang 11 still had a killing trick. And Ye Kong, the monk in the foundation period, well, I guess it's not that good luck next time. Wang Zhe even laughed and laughed, how can we win when we build a base and fight for a baby? Daydreaming. There was no sincerity between the two players in the field, and the result was to continue fighting. Wang 11 patted the back of his head with a hand, and a blue, witty flying sword magic weapon spouted from his mouth. As soon as the sword came out, the surrounding air suddenly lowered. You can see the blue cold flying sword constantly overflowing with cold air around it. Looking at the smoke, Wang 11's face was a little distorted. Icy real water sword is my Wangzi's invincible magic weapon. It has been cut by 581 people under the sword so far. Since I went back to the treasure hunt of the 5 elements Xianxia last time, it has not been used. I can't think of you as a fake Dan. I have a magic weapon, Ecchi, you are dead without regrets. After Wang 11 said, he yelled, be the 582 ghost of my sword. The real ice sword shot suddenly, but the flying speed was getting slower and slower, which is exactly the strength of this sword. The longer the ice frost sword stays somewhere, the lower the temperature there, so often the sword has not arrived yet, and the other party has frozen. Even if it doesn't die, the opponent's magic weapon and body will freeze slowly and dully, and then Frost's real water sword will pass and easily harvest his life. Ecchi wouldn't stand still, yelled, raised his hand and threw out dozen flying fish swords. Everyone saw him doing this again, all shaking their heads and sighing, a miracle is really impossible, this kid has no more tricks. Bang bang bang. The sword exploded again, but unfortunately, this time did not achieve the intended effect, the sword blast could not hurt the ice water sword at all, and the flying fish swords behind were frozen, even the surface quickly covered with thick frost, unable to move forward. Burst. You'll burst again, the proud Wang 11 laughed. But at the moment when all the trapped people faced ashes, a shadow girl was surprised to find out. One didn't freeze. It was a lilac flying sword, except for its special color, there was nothing amazing. The size of the sword was slow and the flight speed was slow. However, such a flying sword can treat the ice and snow as nothing. Slowly fly forward. Seemingly slow, it is actually quite fast compared to the flying sword of the radio. In a blink of an eye, it crosses with the ice water sword and kills Wang 11 directly. In this way, this purple flying sword becomes the focus of everyone's attention. Everyone was thinking, Ecchi mixed this sword and shot it in a flying fish sword. What's the purpose? This sword seems so sparse and usual. Already past the midline between the two, Ecchi no longer has to hide behind him. He showed a feverish light and drank. Zeolai sword. Let me see your power. With a bang, the bland purple flying sword suddenly rose to 3 feet. The sword body suddenly burned, and the fire was full of heat. The fire came, as it was roasted in the scorching Sunday ice and snow turn into water vapor. Cold and hot. The ground and plants are all dry. Ice frost sword. The ice real water sword, which was already behind the of Zeolai sword, was swept away by the overbearing fire, and it fell to the ground like a piece of iron. The might of hot water. The attribute is water, but it is more fierce than the fiery fire. In addition to the evaporation and volatility of purple jade, any water attribute spells and magic weapons are all vulnerable. Everyone looked straight, and the ice-cold sword that seemed overbearing just now was so useless. The ordinary purple flying sword just now is so domineering at this moment. The whole body is wrapped in flames. The blazing flame is lined with the purple sword body, like a fire dragon out of magma. Fire power is excited, water power is rapidly disappearing. Wang 11 had already felt the danger. He called the boy too mean, and even played this method until he found the danger. It was too late. He watched the flaming flying sword come over and couldn't use teleportation. Because he is a water cultivator, he is full of water spiritual power, and at this moment, water spiritual power is evaporating from his body uncontrollably, less and less. When Zeolai sword came to him, he felt thirsty. A Yuanyang Zhenjun, who specializes in water power and spiritual power, feels thirsty, which is very scary. Zeolai sword did not kill him, but stopped above him. It was like a monarch who looked up high indifferently to a dying slave. Then, the purple jade fierce water sword made a circle on his head and returned safely. Ecchi opened his mouth, the flame extinguished, the sword body became smaller, and became tau purple light. Disappeared in his mouth. To the reader. Tomorrow 6 chapters, Don't scold me in the comments, I'm scared of scolding. It's not me who cares, it's really hard to write recently. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 787. 78 Seven Kings. Wang 11 died, and he couldn't die anymore. His body has been completely steamed, and not only all the water power has been evaporated, but even the water in his body has been steamed. He has become a dry person, and even Yuan Ying has not escaped. All this happened in an instant, everyone was stunned, and no one expected this ending. It wasn't until Ye went over, picked up the ice sword, and ripped off Wang 11's storage bracelet. Then everyone woke up. Victory, everyone in the three formations cried out. Too powerful, so wonderful. This is simply a miracle. A fake Dan real person defeated a Yuan Ying Zhenjun face to face, which could only be described as a miracle. Great. We win, the Shadow Clan loves to hug, Xue Bingning and his brother hug, the Shadow Clan's married woman and her husband hug, everyone hugs with excitement, tears in their eyes. Chen Jian, the queen of the devil, was also embraced by a Shadow Clan woman, and his heart bounced. Oh, this is a furnace tripod for Qing Liwei, one of the 3,000 wives of the Lord. Forget it, die if you die, you haven't hugged the Shadow Clan girl yet. Hug her mother. Of course, Ye Kong had no one to hold. He only looked at the others with enthusiasm, and looked at Huang Shishi with an enthusiasm. Get off, we're not young people, and we're being joked. Huang Shishi's face turned red. The robbers also looked dumb, but did not expect this fake Dan was so sturdy, and now kill two and drive away one, there are 10 people left on their side. The most powerful flying sword, actually gave a Yuanying Zhenjun who specializes in water and spiritual power to life and thirst. What an overbearing magic weapon. I don't have water power, I'm afraid that I will die faster. And Wang Zhe shouted, brother. Although he was grieved, he didn't dare to enter the formation. After all, he also specialized in water attributes. Looking at the flying sword that made Wang Zishan thirsty, he had instinctual fear. Zhou Xinghua Zhenjun, you must decide for me. Wang Zhe was sad. Then you go and kill him, Zhou Xinghua said. I am also a water attribute. I am born with aquatic roots, Wang Zhe said. Zhou Xinghua said angrily, you can't take all the water and roots, I'm born with water shortage, isn't that going to kill me? Wang Zhedao said, no, it's not like that. His flying sword is specifically to suppress water attributes. People without water attributes will be fine. Zhou Xinghua took 2 steps forward and backed back. Let's talk about it for a long time. He has vomited 2 flying swords. Who knows if there will be a third? Ye Kong's watch is too powerful, so powerful that these Yuanying Zhenjun felt scared. Although this boy is a fake Dan live person, but he has endless ancient treasures, one strange magic weapon, these monks have felt fear. The casual repairman Tu Chuzhen came up with a smile. In Zhou Xinghua's ear, he whispered, Zhou Xinghua is really June actually, we don't need to be afraid of this boy. He is already trapped in the battlefield. We don't need to go in so stupidly to fight him as long as everyone sacrifices magic weapons together and bombards them in the battlefield. How powerful can he be to stop the magic weapons of so many babies? When Zhou Xinghua heard it, she was overjoyed. Yeah, why didn't I think that I was fainted by Ye Kong who suddenly appeared? In fact, Ye Kong was really afraid of this. After all, he was just a fake Dan real person. If that was the case, everyone in the battle would be dead. If everyone is put into the pipa beads, the secret of his pipa beads will be exposed, which is even more dangerous to him. But at this moment, one person appeared. You're so brave. You must kill my disciple of the devil's demon, must you die? Angrily, a middle-aged scribe with 3 black beards appeared in the sky, with dozens of people behind him. Women, these women are all beautiful and beautiful, like a colorful cloud, all the shadow women on the ground have been suppressed. Seeing this person coming, Chen Jian and all the other female demon ancestors immediately knelt down and bowed their heads, saying, "Disciple Chen Jian, have seen the Lord. The visitor is King Levi, the lord of the sorceress, and the woman behind is the favored one in his 3,000 harems. Ulemo zone is located next to Linzijing, and Qing Liwei received a disciple's news, saying that he found 2 shadow clan women who were willing to become a furnace tripod. He was very happy, and there were no shadows in the 3,000 girls. Ethnic woman. However, waiting until the evening, my heart was a little uncertain, and someone reported that something happened in the small town of Linzijing, and then quickly followed. When the god arrived, all the kidnappers panicked, all of you looked at me, and I looked at you, at a loss. But one of them stepped out boldly and said, "The is above, here is that Linzijing is not Ledian, the is too wide." I did not expect such a bold person among the robbers. Even Yekong couldn't help but see who was so bold, not inferior to himself. Qing Liwei was a little annoyed, but when he saw the speaker, it was Tu Chuzhen who claimed to be a casual practitioner. Suddenly a strange color flashed in Qing Liwei's eyes. He said with both hands, "I care what is the situation here, as long as there are disciples of my ogre demon. I can't watch them being bullied." But Tu Chuzhen said, "So God, is it okay to look down? God leaves with your people, and leave the rest to me." Qing Liwei's heart was furious. "I am a prince who can't be controlled by you. If it is circulated, what is the majesty of the great gods and imperial princes?" But he was also jealous of the forces behind this man. Even if he was angry, Qing Liwei would not kill this man. Qing Li made a great move, and the 3 arrays below disappeared at once, and everyone in the array was free. Tu Chuzhen's eyes flashed with anger, and he whispered, "God, what do you mean?" Qing Liwei was really angry this time, and shouted, "You robbed the caravan passers-by. Do you still ask me what it means? Do you really want to die? Old man, I have to fly in 2 days. Haha, Nana, what am I?" Yekong was a little confused. This Qing Liwixiu is higher than Tu Chuzhen, why bother to talk nonsense with him and kill him directly, and Qing Liwei's words still have a suspicion of Tu Chuzhen. What is the origin of Tu Chuzhen? Although Tu Chuzhen was angry, but facing a god, he could do nothing, and he waved his hand, "Let's go." The robbers had no intention of killing at this moment, they all wanted to leave. But then someone said, "Slow." The robbers looked back and found that the person shouting was the real fake Dan Ye. "What the are you doing? Don't you think we are afraid of you?" Wang Zhe put away his brother's body and yelled at Yekong. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 788. Perennial Soil Film. Yekong smiled coldly and said, "You robbed my caravan, killed my shadow clan friends, and forced my wife to remarry. So it's too easy to want to leave. I fight with you." Wang Zhegong wanted to step forward, but was pulled by Tu Chuzhen. Tu Chuzhen stepped forward, facing Yekong, and coldly hummed, "Little brother fake Dan, how dare you be so mad? Let me ask you, how are you going?" All the trapped people were cheering, excited, and reborn. But Yekong suddenly got into trouble again, and everyone was silent. Subsequently, those Shadow Clan people gathered behind Yekong, Shuelishuang, and others clenched their weapons and glared at the robbers and others. Yes, that's right. If you kill someone, you want to leave. How can there be such a cheap thing? Standing in the sky, Qing Liwei couldn't help but look at this little monk who had built a great foundation. Although he had some dissatisfaction in his heart, he felt troubled again. In fact, Yekong is not irrational. Just now Huang Shishi has briefed him on the recent situation. After Yekong heard it, the first feeling was that there was a conspiracy. This farce is a big conspiracy against the shadow people. He couldn't ignore it. He had promised Lu Junro that he had to understand the matter. Who is going to be bad for Shadow Clan? They robbed the caravan or the caravan from King Tianjing to Pipajing. What are they looking for? Even Yekong thought about it. Did this matter come against him? So the matter must be figured out. Seeing the anger of the crowd, King Qing Liwei was staring at it again, and Tu Chajian couldn't stand up. He thought about slowing down and said, everyone who comes out of the robbery is just trying to dine together. Do NT try hard to force it? Requirements can also be said. Tu Chu simply thought Yekong wanted to blackmail some spirits, but Yekong reached out and said, others can go, but he must stay. Yekong's finger was exactly the leader of the robber, the blood slayer demon Zhong Xinghua. As the leader of the robber, I must have heard something from him. In fact, Yekong believes that Tu Chajian must know more. But Tu Chajian was very mysterious. Qing Liwei had scruples. If he forced Tu Chajian by himself, he was afraid that Qing Liwei would not agree. So Yekong retreated, and met Zhou Xinghua. Tu Chajian was also a wise man, and immediately understood Yekong's meaning. He hummed coldly, Dao, I remind you that there are certain things, the more you know, the sooner you die. Yekong smiled and answered him, Yamao would rather die plainly than be a stupid ghost. Tu Chajian's eyes flashed sharply, and he looked up and said to Qing Liwei, God, we give you face, but some people don't let us go, it's no wonder we are. Qing Liwei laughed, what? Are you Tenyuanying Zhenjun going to besiege a fake Dan real person? As soon as Qing Liwei laughed, Tu Chajian's abacus could not work. And Zhou Xinghua stepped out and yelled, boy! What will you do if I stay? What can you do with me? Haha, you won't ask your wife for help. Under Yekong's feet, there were already transparent objects flowing quietly outward like liquid. He laughed, give you up, I can do it alone. Okay. Then I'll fight with you. Others must not intervene, life and death, Zhou Xinghua said with great joy. He didn't believe that the fake Dan was really so powerful, as long as Huang Shishi didn't intervene. Huang Shishi immediately said, relax, I won't step in. Zhou Xinghua flushed with Huang Shishi's thoughts. Although he was singled out with a real person who built a base, it was a bit bullying, but who told this kid to die? He walked to the center of the venue and smiled coldly, I'm going to learn from you, arrogant boy. Although the winning ticket was in his possession, Zhou Xinghua was still very careful. He knew that this guy was weird and strange. So Zhou Xinghua just released a ball of blood. He thought, Lao Tzu is not as stupid as Wang 11. If you come with a flying sword or something, I will immediately fled. Everyone is watching. The robbers hated the sudden appearance of this minor repair, and wished Zhou Xinghua had drained his blood so that he would be happy. But Tu Chajian had a bad feeling. Yekong is by no means so simple. He is not sure. How can he challenge Zhou Xinghua? But Tu Chajian really couldn't see what else the boy could do. The reason why Wang 11 was killed just now is purely because the sword just restrained the water attributes, plus Wang 11's light enemy and carelessness. But now, he actually picked Zhou Xinghua again. When did Yuanying Zhenjun become a soft persimmon? Did Ranzuji really need? In the sky, King Qing Liwei is watching, including dozens of women behind him, looking down curiously. You know, Zuji and Yuanying are two different states. Usually a monk can overcome a realm to defeat the opponent, it is already very strong, building the base to cut the knot, to cut the UN infant, are all praised, but the foundation to cut the UN infant, that's too ridiculous. All the Shadow Clan people are watching nervously. In their hearts, Yekong is already the hero who saved them. Although Qing Liwei has played a great role, the Shadow Clan people still appreciate Yekong. Not only are they grateful, but they are also close to each other. They all have a special kind of affection for Yekong. It was because of the loot beads in Yekong's body, they didn't know it. However, they are very worried at this moment. The hero in his mind once again encounters an opponent that is countless times stronger than him. Can he really win? Why did he win? That's right. On the realm of thinking, Yekong is not an opponent. If it is an honest competition, if you want to defeat Yuan Ying Zhenjun, it is a dream. But Yekong Qiang is strong in that he has all kinds of strange and unique treasures, coupled with his scheming use, often can receive magical effects. Looking at the flying blood puppet, Yekong didn't have a magic weapon, nor did he spit a flying sword. He just raised his hand suddenly. Following his movements, everyone was surprised to see that the ground was rolled up, and a completely transparent film floated on the ground. The film wrapped Zhou Xinghua and his blood sacrifice, and the other end of the film was held in Yekong's hand. Seemed as if Yekong was a fisherman holding a fishing net, and Zhou Xinghua was a fish falling in the net. Zhou Xinghua is desperate to die. Damn, I'm just a tentative blow. I still have a lot of big tricks. What are you doing? No matter how bad it is, it won't break. No way, then teleport. Zhou Xinghua's teleportation appeared in front of him, but it was a green grass field and a lake, and a group of fierce women. Yekong took the film into the pipa beads, which was created by the combination of Qiu Qiuabeng and Zijing, and Yekong had no time to figure out what it was. However, one thing is certain. After being wrapped in this thing, you can easily enter the pipa's space. In the future, you may use it as a passage for the world and pipa's space. Yekong thought so. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 789. Take you to the sky. From Zhou Xinghua's capture to the disappearance of other people's shadows, there was not much time left and right. Everyone thought that they would fight fiercely for a few rounds as Wang 11 did just now, but who thought that in a blink of an eye, Zhou Xinghua disappeared? Was he dead? Still running away? The robbers did not expect the boss to be so helpless. They looked at each other, and then looked down at their feet with an electric shock, afraid that a transparent film would come under their feet. In the next second, the robbers fled and dared not to stay for a while. This fake Dan was really weird. Wang Zhe had wanted to leave a harsh word, but had no time to say, and fled away. Tu Chuzhen appeared a few miles away, looked back a few moments, and resentful in his heart. Boy, ancient treasure, super magic weapon, mysterious film, body space, you really have a lot of things. There is also the abominable Qing Liwei. I will go back and report to Lord. The people of the Shadow Clan have now determined that Yekong has won again, and the hero in his mind has won again. It is too powerful. He has created miracles more than once. He is simply the goddess of the gods to the protection of the Shadow Clan. Yekong, you must win. Excited people of the Shadow Clan surrounded Yekong, and the men embraced him. Those enthusiastic shadow girls gave Yekong a small gift, or left their address, and wanted to go further with the hero. Development of. At this time, the great Emperor Qing Liwei standing in the sky spoke, all handsome Shadow Clan men, I invite you to go to our Emperor sect to participate in the ascension ceremony of this emperor. Mikado, in short, it's a man's paradise, and I invite you to be a distinguished guest, and you will have a great time. Those Shadow Clan men laughed happily. Which man didn't want to steal the fish? Napoleon said that the ground is good, the soldier who does not want to be a general is not a good soldier, and the man who does not want to have an encounter is not a good man. Then Qing Liwei laughed again. As for the beautiful girls present, I want to say a word to you. Yeah, just talking, willing or unwilling, you decide for yourself. I Qing Liwei never force a woman. Speaking, I saw a handsome young Qing Liwei coming out of his body, and then another Qing Liwei with loose hair and unruly hair came out of his body, and then, again, a middle-aged man with deep incomparableness, the majestic Qing Liwei came out. Ye Kong now understands why Qing Liwei can simultaneously control 3,000 women. That's because he has such a lot of magic to create avatars. Each of these Qing Liwei is Qing Liwei, but his age is different. Dress up differently. The sorceress really researched the woman thoroughly. The handsome and elegant Qing Liwei walked to the girl in Huaichun, the wild and unruly Qing Liwei walked to the married woman, and the majestic man came to the mature sister. Different women have different looks, countless styles, and there is always one for you. This maiden's magic power rose for 3,000 days, no matter whether she was a virgin or not, as long as she was a beautiful woman, Qing Liwei would wipe it out. The Shadow Clan women all stood in front of Qing Liwei. No matter whether this woman has a man or a priest, there is still a Qing Liwei who will come here. This is the majesty of the prince, I just pry you in the corner, how about you? Many men present were very embarrassed. Another man confessed to his wife, which was really uncomfortable. The only woman below is Huang Shishi. It is not because Huang Shishi is not good looking, nor is it because Huang Shishi is not a shadow clan. Ye Kong knows that this is the face given to him by Qing Liwei. The more than 10 Qing Liwei said together, this girl, the Emperor Demon Sovereign Qing Liwei, is transformed into a late god. She is currently practicing the original Ascension Da Fa. If the girl is willing to ascend the immortal realm after 3 days and the next, and enjoy the immortal immortality, then stretch out your hand and let me take you to ascension. More than a dozen Qing Liwei, some are affectionate, some are handsome, some are overbearing. After these words are spoken, there is immediately a shadow woman. You need to know that the people in the nether world are trying to ascend, and for longevity, now that there is such a good opportunity, how can they watch it slip away? What painstaking practice, what a century of retreat, what natural treasures, what kind of elixir, no need from now on, as long as you follow Qing Liwei, do his furnace tripod on that day, you can ascend to immortality. This is how big the temptation. Someone moved, but no one reached out. Qing Liwei again said, "Girl, you can ascend by yourself even in the future, but you know how lonely the fairy land is, you are helpless and there is no your relatives and friends, how do you live?" He paused and let those women think for a while, and then he continued, "But ascend with us, that's different. You are my woman, we are family, we care and care for each other, who can be so many of us? Bully us?" Those women's minds it makes sense to go up with Qing Liwei, not only save the training time for thousands of years, but also have a home after going up, with help, warmth, how good chance, then go for it. So, a girl smiled at the man around her, wanted to say sorry, and went with Qing Liwei. But at this moment, someone sang, "I seem to see that a tragedy is happening, there is no joy in the play, and I am hiding in your dream. I kiss you goodbye, and on the wild night, let the wind laugh and I can't laugh refuse." Huang Shishi said in heart, "Get it? Can't you be safe once someone comes again?" Ye Kong also wanted to look at the pretense that he hadn't seen it, and didn't ask. But he couldn't do it. He is the true master of the Shadow Clan. He promised Lu Junro to take good care of the Shadow Clan people. He has the commitment and responsibility to remind these Shadow Clan women. He cannot remain silent. If Qing Liwei is a god, he can pretend to be deaf and dumb, and he would not dare to say a word of reminder, then he is not Ye Kong. Do it when you do it, and when you say it, he has always been such a person, he doesn't want to change. Even if there are many troubles and frustrations, he will never regret it. Because a man should live like this. Qing Liwei didn't expect that there would be a mess at this time, and his eyes flashed angrily. Standing on the main body of the sky, he asked coldly, "Is this Ye Xiaodao friend, do you have something to say?" Qing Liwei is really upset. "Mom's boy, I didn't let the split to harass your wife, so I gave you face. What else do you want?" Ye Kong nodded and said, "Qing Liwei, Lord, I am just a minor repair, and I have also tried to practice dual exercises, and the taste is really amazing," he said, with a look of intoxication. The men smiled, and the women were a little shy. Qing Liwei wondered, was this kid talking for himself? The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 790. 70 or 90 came to Ledian. But who knows, Yekong Huafeng turned around again and said, but the magical power of the prince is unheard of in the next generation. The royal woman is 3,000, soaring day by day. If you follow this skill, the world is afraid that no woman can't ascend. All women in this world, I am afraid they will all be extinct. The male and female yin and yang complement each other, but the gods do exactly the opposite. These violations of the laws of heaven and earth and opportunism, how can people in the fairy world allow it? Qing Liwei looked cold and snorted. So, are you questioning the work of this god? Xiu dare not. In fact, Xiu is not for themselves, not only for these women, but also for the you, Yekong said aloud. It is a daydreaming and wishful thinking that a XX woman wants to ascend to the immortal world. You, Xiu dare to speak out, hope that there is a lot of Lord God, don't care about Xiu. Ha 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 ha. Qing Liwei smiled angrily and pointed at Yekong. You are really daring, so daring that I want to kill you. However, I know that you must be dissatisfied like that and not die. Squint. So I decided to let you see me soar. Let us talk with the facts. After I soar, I won't kill you, as long as you kneel in front of my tablet for 100 years, and read 10,000 times I was wrong so that you can leave. After Qing Liwei said, he suddenly raised his hand. The majesty of the monarch was really amazing. Yekong suddenly felt numb and weak all over his body. He had no strength at all and could not speak. Qing Liwei beckoned again. Yekong flew out of control, and was thrown by Qing Liwei in the woman behind him. Don't, Huang Shishi quickly caught up. Miss Huang, I have no intention of killing him. I urge you not to act rashly. Yuan Ying's great consummation, my Qing Liwei is not in my eyes yet. Huang Shishi knew that he couldn't beat the old man, so he said, I'll be with him. Ken. Because of Yes disruption, several shadow women agreed, but only 2 shadow women agreed in the end. The 2 women had already agreed to Chenjian, and the ascending heart was extremely firm, and it was useless to persuade anyone. Only 2 people agreed. Qing Liwei was not happy. He retracted the incarnations and said, you women who do not want to follow me must go to visit my ascension ceremony. I want you to see it for myself. I want to let you regret. I want you to regret all your life and miss such a good opportunity. Le Bianjing, originally not called Le Bianjing. However, with the development and growth of the Empress Demon Sect and the Emperor Demon Sect, countless men and women came to have fun. Everyone was here to be happy and happy. Finally, some people joked that this is the state of Ledian. So Ledian realm spread, the original real name was forgotten. The Imperial Demon Sect, the gate of this sect is a very tall man symbol, standing majestic, with a few golden characters above it, not fun, not lewd, but cultivate heirs. Yekong sat on a stone futon outside the mountain gate. Huang Shishi stood beside him. Qing Liwei didn't imprison Yekong, he just extracted his essence and gave him a restraint. 2 conditions are met, the prohibition is self-excluded, and one is to stay in Ledian for 100 years. Second, say 100 million times, I am wrong, King Qing Liwei. This is really a tortured prohibition. If you stay here for 100 years, Yekong can hardly imagine it. If you go back 100 years later, Daylily will be cold. Otherwise, I'll be here, and you'll have Dan first. Huang Shishi tried it, and she couldn't solve the curse, she only lamented. After sighing, he couldn't help but cursed, this is what you asked for. You can't stop once. You need to be bitter to increase your memory. Yekong laughed. That was my intention. You see, there is the male demon, there are handsome young men like me. Are there many female disciples rushing to have a relationship with me? My aunt. You guys are all like this, thinking about such shameless things all day. People who do nt know at all, do those things the first time they meet. Is nt it interesting? Huang Shishi was not angry. Ye Kong laughed. Men are only sexual, women are only emotional. Men and women are different. But you are a monk. Huang Shishi pointed to the golden characters on the gate of the Imperial Devil's Mountain, and asked, do you know those characters? Do you think I have no culture? It's non-musical, non-kinky, but cultivating ears, Ye Kong replied. Huang Shishi bitterly said, that is the teaching left by the founder of the Empress Mozong. Let the disciples remember that this is not enjoyment or chaos. This is just cultivation. Did you see those monks of the Empress Mozong? No, the imagination was so full of smiles and incoherent expressions that the men were all regular, one because they remembered the ancestral teachings and regarded that kind of practice as cultivation, and they focused on cultivation instead of messy things. It is reasonable to say that Huang Shishi said that the disciples of the imperial demon lord smiled at each other gentle and kind, all like gentlemen. On the contrary, those men who came from abroad cultivated their brains and drooled when they saw the women. You're right, Ye Kong nodded, but asked back, but does this have anything to do with me? I'm not a disciple of the maiden devil. I have my own skills, and I will never take that kind of thing. It's just for cultivation. It's the exchange of emotions, the process of finding happiness, and the root of human reproduction. These 3 points are heaven. Tiandao is like this. Tiandao allows men and women to reconcile. The purpose is definitely not cultivation. You have heard of the so-called Taoist nature. All Taoist methods only follow the principles of heaven and earth. This is the best Taoist method. Ridiculous. Of course, the devil's demon doesn't even understand the Taoist method, so she wants to take 3,000 women to rise day by day. It's just shit. Ye Kong spoke, and there was a sense of truth in the words, and many people passing by stopped. Although this is a state of music, there are also many monks pursuing the avenue of the heaven and earth, and some monks nodded and said yes. Huang Shishi gave this dead man a white look. His heart said, as you said, those people who scratch their heads, have a wretched complexion, and behave badly, are they the real world? At this time, one person said, nature is natural? It's ridiculous. I don't think of Yun Yao. Some people are preaching the pedantic remarks of those practitioners. I wait for the practitioners to pay attention to going against the sky. Providence, is there any reason for immortality? Everyone turned their heads and saw that the speaker was an old man, and a temporary stall was placed in front of the old man. Behind him was a large banner, writing, Ledian Xiao pill, to ensure that the maid cannot fall in 3 hours, 2 spirit stones, 1 penalty, and 10 penalty. It turned out to be a horrible pill, and the most important thing is that this old man is still a mortal. Are mortals come to talk with monks? This is too ridiculous. At the moment, some onlookers shook their heads and smiled. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 791. 71 Old Man said. Ye Kong Tao did not despise mortals. The so-called heaven and earth avenue can be seen by everyone can talk about it, and everyone can argue and make progress. Ye Kong stepped forward, saluting. This old man, repairing Ye Kong in the wild, dared to ask his old name Gao. The old man dragged it, saying, Ye Kong, good name, but don't tell me, you can't remember it. Ye Kong thought the old man was angry and didn't care about it. He smiled, Your Excellency hasn't said Gao's name yet. The old man said, then you can call me the old man, or the old guy, the old one is not dead, the old splits the wood, the old beheaded, you can. Everyone fainted, and then looked at the old man, serious, without any jokes. Everyone thought, isn't this an old idiot? Yekong waved his hand, brother, how can you call you like this? The old man rolled his eyes and said, according to your truth, naturally, I am an old man, and I haven't died yet, so I am old and an old guy. In short, you call me this way to conform to the Tao, why do you do the opposite? Everyone shook their heads, and mortals are mortals. Where is the doctrine? This is already a mess. But Yekong felt that the old man's words were constantly on the edge, and he asked, so old man, how should you say according to your words? According to your words, everything goes against the sky, so Xiaoxiu should call you little handsome, little young, little kid, or a little trick. Everyone laughed. Yekong was afraid that the old man mistakenly thought he was ridiculing him, and then he said, boss, it is not impolite, just want to hear your words. Laughed at by others, the old man's face remained the same, and he looked at Yekong up and down, and said, your way is not the same as our way. It's not good for you to listen more. Hurry up, don't stop my pharaoh from selling Ledian's Iao pills. The crowd laughed again. Huang Shishi also came up and hugged Yekong's arm and said, Father, don't talk nonsense to this old man, what's he saying? If he can't answer, he has to rush people. But Yekong felt that the old man was not so simple. He came to Yunyo himself and met so many monks. No one saw that he was a monk. The old man heard Yekong as a monk in one sentence, but also saw Yekong as a monk at a glance. The phrase your way is different from our way is an obvious suggestion. Uncle Wang. Yekong Gang wanted to say something, but was interrupted by a group of people. Is he? It's him. Just this old liar. Damn, if I hadn't seen him today, I would have forgotten. Don't buy his Ledian's Iao pill. Tell me that the maid of war is not stunned at all 3 hours, but I will be defeated, and I will be defeated as soon as I have done 3 times, which is worse than mine. Old liar, told me his surname Zhang that day, and today he told others that his surname is Wang, the standard liar's behavior. A mortal dares to lie to us monks. What a terrible thing. The crowd then realized that it was no wonder that the old man was a scammer. It turned out to be an old liar. He couldn't help looking at Yekong sympathetically. This kid was so clever that he was almost deceived. The monks surrounded the old man, all angry, asking the old man to pay for the spirit stone. The old man begged, brothers, Li, there are 80 mothers in my family to raise, and 8-year-old children are waiting to be fed. The monks were even more furious, this old liar has no truth. His surname is Zhang Yuhui, and his surname is Li now, kill him. The old man dropped the stall, ran back, and shouted, don't. I really can't remember. Listening to the old man's words, Yekong suddenly thought, as if something had been captured. But when he thought about it, he couldn't remember anything. Even when the old man's back disappeared, even what happened just now he was quickly forgetting. You just have a lot of ridiculousness, what did you just say? Huang Shishi was also a little confused, wondering what to say, saying, are you really going to stay here for 100 years? Yekong asked with a smile, do you see me like that? But you don't seem to be in a hurry. Huang Shishi was a bit strange. This kid is definitely a dull man. He will stay in Ledian for 100 years? Might as well kill him. But why doesn't he seem to matter at all? You don't have to worry about it, I have my own way. Yekong did have an idea, and that was to go to the Black Devil to find help. The elders in the black suits are more powerful than one, and they all exist above the deities. Presumably, the prohibition under Qing Liwei should be solved. Of course, he can't solve it now. After all, Qing Liwei is a prince. If he contacts his prohibition at this moment, it is estimated that this guy will soon find out that it is best to wait for 3 days before he rises and lift the prohibition at that time. No one can help himself. Don't worry about going to the Black Demon sect, but there is still a place to go. That is to return to the Pipazu space and interrogate Zhou Xinghua. Another thing is to see what Qiu Qiabeng and Ziliangjing have evolved into. Qing Liwei arranged a fine house for Yekong and Huang Shishi. The windows are bright and clean, and the environment is good. There are special staff to serve. It really looks like leaving Ye empty for 100 years. Yekong didn't think to persuade Qing Liwei not to rise, but this guy is too superstitious about his own 3-year-old imperial maiden. It is probably useless to say that, but it will bring trouble to himself. As for the 3,000 women, Yekong can only sigh. He has already ventured to persuade them, they still choose so. The path you choose is pain and happiness, and you can only bear it yourself. Coming to Pipazu space, Zhou Xinghua has been like a mule. After entering the Pipa bead space, Yekong imprisoned all his spiritual power. He is immortal, how can he deal with Zhu Lingfei and other women? Say, what secrets are you robbing the Shadow Clan women and the caravan? Yekong pulled the wooden benches created by the women and sat in front of Zhou Xinghua. Yedaiu, we are also affected by people's money and disasters. Zhou Xinghua smiled bitterly. Yekong laughed. Then tell me, who is the money and the disaster that he suffered? And who is the Sanqiu Tu Chajian, who is it? What background? Zhou Xinghua was also stingy, just saying, Yedaiu, it is an injustice to lose, but since you were captured, I have no complaints, you kill me. What you want to ask, I will never it is revealed. I do nt say, I am the only one who died. If I said that, I would involve my disciples. Actually, if you don't say it, I can also guess that it is the Holy Demon sect, right? Zhou Xinghua's face suddenly changed, and she immediately said coldly, Yedaiu, since you guessed, then I would advise you not to be right with them, their strength is not what you can imagine. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 792. Ascension Ceremony. Yekong heard the words and laughed. Holy Demon, is not the extinction of the 5 elements? Isn't it the demon eye? Zhou Xinghua immediately proudly said, yes. You know a lot. I think you should know that under the extinction of the 5 elements, the monks became mortals, even if the gods are stunned. If you let me go now, I will talk to Tu Chajian Zunchen. Well, maybe you can spare your life. Yekong's laughter ceased suddenly, his face condensed. What about the extinction of the 5 elements, and the eyes of the demon? It's just a paper tiger. Yekong waved his hand and motioned to Lingfei, soul search. Zhu Lingfei put his hands on Zhou Xinghua's head. After a while, he replied, the search is complete, but there is no new clue. The order they received was to kill all the caravans who passed the Qingtian border and went to the Pipa border. The shadow caravan is annihilated first. After the kill, pay attention to searching for goods and all monks' items. Yekong frowned. He always felt that it was for himself. But he couldn't figure it out. How did the holy demon know that he was in the Qingtian realm and the target Pipa realm? And, if it's for yourself, why just issue a command to kill yourself? He asked again, how did Saint Demon sect give him orders, and what strange items did he get these days? Zhu Lingfei said, the orders of the Holy Demon sect were issued by the Quasi-Herald, which is a person named Tu Chajian. This person is the Quasi-Herald. Only Zhou Xinghua in the team knows his identity. All the items have been taken away by Tu Chajian. He doesn't know what's special about it? Yekong nodded, and this was not something Zhou Xinghua could know. Zhu Lingfei asked again, what about this person? Keep him, it will be useful in the future. At this time, Zhu Lingfei carefully said again, Holy Demon, I have heard that they are very powerful, their 5 elements are extinct. Yekong raised her chin with her fingers, looked into her eyes, and asked, "Are you concerned about me?" Zhu Lingfei blushed and shook off his hand. "I don't care about you. I'm afraid you're going to die. Let's suffer together." "That's also concerned." Yekong smiled and said, "but your reminder was too late. At the time of Wanjianjing, I had let my two friends kill two ambassadors, and hatred had already settled its up." "Ah," Zhu Lingfei was startled. Looking at Yekong in astonishment, Saint Demon Sect is Yun Yao's most mysterious and powerful section. He is the administrator of Yun Yao's 8,000 realms. How can he offend Saint Demon Sect? Also, how terrible the extinction of the 5 elements of the ambassador is, it is simply a matter of discoloration. Who is this kid's friend who can kill the 2 ambassadors? Yekong ignored her and asked, "Chiu Kuabeng, is that monster?" Zhu Lingfei pointed to the sky. "He is so big that he covers the whole sky. Now, the essence of Xian is a bit strange, and it turns into a thin film, covering the entire sky, and Chiu Kuabeng's Jindan disappears. At this moment, he is this film, and this film is him. This layer of film is transparent and cannot be seen at all on the ground. Only by flying below him can you feel the coverage of this layer. This is..." Yekong asked, his finger against the film in doubt. Chiu Kuabeng's laughter came out. "Master, don't tickle me." Yekong fainted. "Is this your armpit? Is it too big? What is going on with you?" Chiu Kuabeng said bitterly, "Master, I don't understand. Since evolution, I have flew up. I feel like I should fly in the sky like this, envelop everything, surround it, and protect all the objects inside." Yekong looked carefully again, thinking, is this the atmosphere? However, Pipazu space is not a planet. If Pipazu has become a planet, he really can't believe it. But he thinks it's not right. The atmosphere can also pass through. The toughness of this film is so strong that the rocket can't shoot out, right? You just stay here. I really don't know what you are, but fortunately, I can still use it. It hasn't evolved into something completely useless. Yekong just wanted to go down. Chiu Kuabeng shouted again, "Master, you have to hurry up to improve the realm. I think I'm getting bigger and bigger, and I keep getting bigger. I have pleaded in many places, only you can hurry up to improve the realm. I can be comfortable, unfold your body. I'll work hard." Yekong smiled, not knowing what it was, but nothing more. The 3rd day. It was another high-flying ceremony. The high platform is very large, because there is also a huge tent on the platform. The tent is very gorgeous, and the white tent wall is covered with gold thread embroidered acacia pictures, and those unscrupulous girls look red. However, speaking of this situation, the pure girl is estimated to be scarce than the sand of the Nether River. Compared with women in the state, Huang Shishi, who looks coquettish in appearance, is as pure water. Although the tent is gorgeous, it is not as beautiful as the one before it. 3,000 women, each person is better than Huajiao, dressed in flowery branches, and at first glance, it makes people look dazzled. Under the high platform, everyone cast their eyes on Qing Lai Wei with envious and jealous eyes. Can enjoy 3,000 beautiful queen girls at once, and then can rise into fairy. Damn, how can you be ridiculed by good things? Got it. Yekong and Huang Shishi were also watching from afar, watching Qing Lai Wei's spirit and looking at 3,000 women excited, but Huang Shishi had a kind of sadness. "I don't know how Chen Chen is over there," Huang Shishi could not help but say. Yekong schemed his lips. "I don't know, I guess, it won't be very good," he sighed, but then replaced it, but he was firm, "One day, I will end all this. Since ancient times, evil has prevailed, I believe that I'm on the right side. This day is our heaven, the earth is our land. How good it is, how good a woman can be tolerated by foreign demons." If other people see Yekong's ruthlessness, it will surely pass by with a smile. A real person who builds a foundation is too big, aren't you afraid of flashing his tongue? But Huang Shishi firmly believes that this man can do it. From the moment he appeared, he was doing miracles. She believes that he will continue to create miracles, because he has extremely firm convictions, and he is not determined to turn back. They were talking. A monk from the Devil Lord came. Sister Ye, the Lord, please go there. The Lord said, let you see how he soared. In another realm, high above, holy demon sect. A row of young men stood in front of the Lord with white eyebrows and beards. These are the quasi-heralds who have come back from the experience. They are also eager to try. The results of the experience will directly determine whether they can be promoted to the emissary. The ambassador with the eyes of the demon, this is the goal for which they are working. Tu Chajen looked at the Lord with ambition. He knew that today his magic eye must be fixed. To the reader. Today 6 more, thank you for your support. Qin Liwei will really rise, he is completely ignorant, so stay tuned.